On this episode of the Startup Junkies podcast, we're joined by Marshall Saviers, CEO and President of Cushman Wakefield Sage Partners. Marshall talks about how he's worked with different corporations and helped grow the Northwest Arkansas region. Tune into this episode to learn the importance of company growth, culture, and hiring the right people. This is the Startup Junkies podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of the Startup Junkies podcast. Thanks for tuning in from however you're tuning in with us today. My name is Caleb Talley. I'm a Startup Junkie and joined by my Startup Junkie co-host, Jeff Amerine. How's it going, Jeff?
Good.
And Daniel Koonce. How's it going?
It's awesome. It's a little gloomy day here in Northwest Arkansas.
But I'll take the rain and the 75-degree weather any day.
Within a week of the kickoff of the Razorback football season.
I don't know any opening game that's been forecasted under 80 degrees.
It's amazing.
I'll take it. I'm knock on wood, jinx it. But we're excited to be joined today by our friend Marshall Saviers. Sorry. I messed it up anyway.
Got it, man.
President of Cushman and Wakefield and Sage Partners. Thanks for joining us today.
You bet. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, we like to start off these, conversations by tell us the Marshall story.
Yeah.
Rather than the company elevator pitch, tell us the origin story for Marshall.
Sure. And we were touching on a little bit of this as we were catching up beforehand. But I ended up growing up in a lot of different areas. My dad is in real estate, has been in real estate as well. Does something totally different than what I do. But I was exposed to it at an early age. And so he worked for a company called the Trammell Crow Company, which at the time was the biggest developer in probably the world, especially on the industrial space side, so warehouses. And because of that, I was born in Fort Smith, Arkansas, right? And then moved to Dallas, then New Orleans. He opened an office there, Chicago, and then Little Rock. So got exposed to a lot of different cities growing up. Spent my junior high and high school years in Little Rock, and then went to SMU in Dallas, and then worked in Dallas, and then moved here in 2005. Actually, which we'll get into here in a minute, but I was lured here by my uncle, Tommy Van Zant, in 2005. And I always wanted to get back to Arkansas. I was tired of being in Dallas and not seeing a tree. I'm a big outdoors guy. So wanted to find a place that, that I could, lay down my roots. I was in my mid to late 20s at the time. So it felt like a good time to make that transition. So moved here then, and then we really Tommy and Brian Shaw started Sage, shortly after, and I was the token young guy at the time, and it was just a couple of us, and then it led to where we are today. But we'll get into that, I'm sure, later in the podcast.
So I am curious, having kind of entered this market in 2005, have conversations with folks that haven't been in Northwest Arkansas for a while.
Well, it was half the size then, so half the people.
Yeah. So I, have conversations. If you haven't been here in a year, the landscape looks different. To speak to that a little bit, I'm just kind of curious what
it's pretty hard to comprehend what it was like in 2005. I mean, it still felt like 4 smaller towns than one region. The way I always couch this is when you think about I-49 and the airport being built in the mid to late 90s, that's when we became a region, right? Before then, it would have taken from here in downtown Fayetteville to Bentonville, it would have taken you, close to an hour to get there, right? So that's what really opened us up and made us regional. So we were still going through those growing pains of figuring out what that is. For instance, in Pinnacle, which is where our office is now and where we do a lot of our work, it was mostly cow pasture. Right. So that's hard, even for folks in our bigger areas that have seen a lot of velocity. We have seen a ton of velocity here since that time. So the real reason that I moved here, besides the outdoors, was I was representing office tenants looking for office space in Dallas. And because that was at the very start of the Walmart vendor boom, where there's 1,500 companies that moved here to support Walmart and have their sales offices here. So those were all being represented by mostly residential type agents who didn't, nothing wrong with them. I don't know how to sell a house. They didn't know how to represent an office tenant. So that was kind of our bread and butter at Sage at the early end. It's like, okay, let's be the go-to folks. So when I moved here, I knew the game, which is, hey, I'm not only going to call on all these companies, I'm also going to call on the brokerage houses in these big cities that represent them and say, hey, when you come here, I'm here to be your guy. And so they didn't know what Northwest Arkansas was. They didn't know where Arkansas in general was. So they were like, great, we'll put you on the list and let you do it. And so that's what really kicked off Sage. But we stayed really small and boutique-y, which is what Brian and Tommy wanted, really through the Great Recession, which was a really interesting time on multiple levels. And Jeff knows some of this, but one in February of 2009, we had $0 coming in the door at Sage. because we're all transactionally based. Great recession's happening. There are no transactions to happen. So I'm 29 years old. I'm thinking, okay, well, what do we do here? The other more fundamental thing that happened was my uncle fell off a ladder and became a quadriplegic and was paralyzed. And so you had zero money coming in the door. You had one of our two main guys who's on his deathbed. And I'm 29 going, what the heck am I going to do? Right. And the easy thing to do would probably have been to move back down to Dallas, right? Just restart my career there. I was doing well there. Or move to Little Rock, where both me and my wife's family are from. But decided to go the other direction and really double down on what we were doing here and figure out a way to make Sage more of a full service company and have a lot of different income streams coming in and led us to where we are today.
Can you touch on a few of those different income streams?
Yeah. Well, you've got the obvious ones like development work. Like for Mrs. Hunt, we do all of her development work. So all the buildings in Pinnacle that you see. And then a lot of others. Tom Allen in our office handles that. Like I was involved in the ledger in Bentonville, bigger, more complicated projects that have income coming in on a fee side. Also, we'll look at investing in those types of buildings too. So we invest in a lot of buildings. So having just some income coming in from that. And then property management, asset management. So like we are involved in this building we sit in today. So, a lot of the buildings that you see in Northwest Arkansas, we might do facilities work for them. We might do management work for them. There's a million different ways we can skin it. But we're just here to provide any sort of service that we can for them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Talk about that, how you weathered the pandemic and people saying Class A office space is dead and no one's ever going to come back to work. And it's changed, but talk a little bit about how all that's gone.
Well, I can talk about it. I mentioned the ledger, and my partner and I on the project, Josh Kyles, felt like we were a little nuts because we kicked that off basically right at the start of the pandemic. Yeah. And we didn't, at the time, everybody's saying, we don't know if anybody will ever come back to the office. Of course, those things tend to be just kind of dire things that scare everybody. But it did feel a little nuts to build that building at that time. But luckily, we saw the need. We knew there was something there. More importantly, we had bought everything before the pandemic pricing hit. So we already had the product on the ground, which proved to be a really good thing because construction prices have gone up 50 to 100% since the pandemic. And so we were able to benefit from that. But it's funny, our area only saw, I would say, maybe a year to year and a half of that kind of pandemic freak out on the office side.
Right.
Whereas the rest of the world country, until like last year, we're really saying, hey, what's your return to office? How's it going? Oh, we're doing great. I mean, everybody's been back to the office for a couple of years now. You look at our office market now, we're at, we just came out with our latest market statistic. We're at 4% vacancy rate across the region.
Which is amazing.
Which is, and unless somebody can dispute me, and nobody has been able to, it's the strongest office market in the country. I mean, the average national vacancy is 20%. So our answer would have been kind of flippant and like brush people off when they say that. And when you're a broker in New York, they think you're nuts and probably trying to leverage them or negotiate them in somehow. But, we're fortunate that we have a return to work culture here. Really, Walmart's on the lead of that. And JB Hunt and Tyson. I mean, JB Hunt really never stopped either, neither did Tyson. So we were expected to be in the office, right? And so it's funny, when people called during that time frame, we were seen as like the front runners in how to return to the office. We didn't know we were that. But when we're talking to other people, and it was mind blowing to them that we were already back to work. And by the way, not only back to work, the Tom Allen, the crew with Mrs. Hunt, that within Sage, they were developing office buildings through the pandemic. There was probably 4 buildings that have been built since 2020, which is also nuts. You don't hear about that in any other part of the country, including a 200,000 square foot building being built right now.
The appearance of the place has really changed. That Pinnacle area, how that's grown up, is just amazing. You're right. Not that many years ago, it was kind of a cow pasture. And
right.
I'd be interested in your thoughts about how the face of Bentonville has changed with the new home office and all that's gone in there. You drive through that now and you think you're in a major metro.
Yeah, totally.
Versus still a town of less than 100,000 people.
Yeah.
Talk about some of that, how that's
fundamentally shifted. I mean, when you think about what plus or minus 20,000 people being on campus, it's a city within a city, right? So it changes traffic patterns. It changes, look and feel, everything you can think of, on that front. So like, we started saying, okay, what could we put together when we talk about other income streams? How can we put together investment groups to buy things around where the new campus is, and sometimes around the old campus because they're so close together.
Right.
So for instance, we had a group that was led by TJ Leffler that put together Bentonville Plaza right across the street from the old home office. And now, luckily, there's going to be a new STEM university announced by the Waltons. It's going to go right across the street. But we knew that there's just so much momentum in that area. And then on the other side, the old Beauterre Office Park, which was the original office park for vendors in Northwest Arkansas, it had become a little, tired, but we knew that it was going to be right at the major intersection where these people are going to get off to go to the new home office. So you start thinking about, okay, how does that change from when you have a real estate mind, when you really are looking at traffic patterns, right? And seeing how that's going to change things. And maybe if you're a little further west in Bentonville, that stuff's that's a lot of office space might not do as well because you're now really 49's always been our spine, but it really feels like that given where the new location of the home office is now.
Yeah, 8th Avenue is kind of the center of the universe, starting with David Glass, the IT center, and then all the way across. That's really the hub.
Well, if you can think about like where my office is in Pinnacle, right by the AMP, I can be at the new home office in 7 minutes or something. It might take me another 10 to get to the old home office or somewhere, downtown Bentonville, because you got to go through all that, find a place to park, et cetera, et cetera. So it really makes it more accessible. And from a real estate perspective, it makes all the buildings up and down the interstate, more attractive.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So I was doing some research and I pulled some numbers.
Bring it.
You guys manage over 5 million square feet of property.
Closer to 6 probably. Yeah.
Okay. 6 million square feet of property. Yeah. How do you keep operations scalable while also kind of having that local feel that you guys emphasize?
That's a great question. And it's been a lot of trial and error, right? Like any upstart business. We grew so fast backing up a little bit, when we hit that 2009 crossroads, decided that we want to become more of a full service real estate company. And then between 2010, let's say, and 2015, we were starting to manage property, but probably plus or minus 500,000 to 1 million feet. Big, but not nearly as big as we are today. 2016, we merged with Mrs. Hunt's group to take over her leasing and management and bring in the Hunt Ventures team, who are a lot of which are still, with our company today. Mrs. Hunt's a great partner of ours. And so is Tom Allen that runs the account. And then we did the Cushman Wakefield, which is the national, international real estate company in 2017 and became an affiliate of theirs. And so that helped us get a kind of a scalable platform, right? And playbook on how to do that. But then along the way, one of the things that I've learned the hard way is just, how to create the right culture, right? We grew so fast. So between 2015 and 2022, probably, we went from, 10 people to 30 people to 60 people to 80 people really, really fast. And we're hiring in a really tough environment during the pandemic, and we lost some of our culture. And so because of that, we decided as a leadership team that we're gonna, get this right. Even if we have to scale down on people and clients to get it the right way. So I'm going in a roundabout way of answering your question, which is it's all about culture to us. And, there's two things that we always say is if you're serving your clients well and you're serving your fellow employee well, you're going to be great. Not only are you going to be great, you're going to get promoted here. And so we're a service company, right? So it seems super simple, but if we're going to be a service company and if we serve others, we're going to figure this out. We're going to have missteps along the way. But so there was not I'm boiling down to really something simple, because there's not like, hey, if you do this, it's real estate there's so many different factors to it. You've got to start with the right mentality and culture. And if you do that and you have the right people there to figure it out, because what it is really problem solving every day. Whether that's a maintenance issue at a building or a deal that needs to be structured right. So keeping that mentality helped us kind of weather the storm through our growth trajectory.
Yeah. And we're talking about culture and especially the people.
Sure.
Which has been more important to you, hiring the right people or hiring people and training them to fit the culture?
Hiring the right people.
Okay.
There's what I've learned along the way is some people unfortunately can't be trained just because of bad habits that they've had. Doesn't mean they're bad people. Just means they might have been trained the right way. And so, another mistake that I made along the way is just hiring for, when you're young, you're enamored by everybody's resume. And by the time an interview gets to me, I don't even look at their resume anymore. I mean, at that point, they're in the room, they've done it. It's going to be all about, are they a good cultural fit? And we can teach them real estate.
Yeah. So anybody who wants to work for him one day, you don't need a resume. So
That's right. Well, you do to get to a certain point. You don't when you meet with me.
That's okay. I lied on mine anyway. I had to start.
That's right.
Are you an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur looking to get plugged into the ecosystem? We host a ton of events designed for education, inspiration, and collaboration, from weekly meetups to quarterly events like pitch competitions and annual events like our marquee event, the Startup Crawl, which is the largest startup party in Arkansas. Check out our event page on our website, sign up, and we'll see you there.
I've got an unrelated entrepreneurial question for you. I have admired the fact that you got in and out of the alcohol business through Arkansas Craft Distribution.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about how you've seen that business change. I know you guys were one of the major distributors, and a lot of the reason why you got business was you guys had a great culture.
Yep.
And some of the other distributors are, I'm not saying they're like dealing with the mafia, but some people might draw that.
Totally.
But talk a little bit about how you see that changing. You know, I'm in 2 of those deals now on the production side.
Yeah.
So I'd just be interested for aspiring entrepreneurs who fall in love with the idea of being in the alcohol or the food business. Give them some words of wisdom.
One, we were lucky.
Your timing was impeccable.
Our timing was impeccable.
Yep.
And our timing was impeccable coming in and coming out.
That's Arkansas Craft Distribution,
right? This was started to level set this. This was started as an idea by a buddy of mine in Little Rock it was a really simple strategy. We just wanted to bring good beer to the state selfishly, right? And that was when we were in our early 30s. And we were naive enough to think that we could disrupt the whole thing, right? And we actually did.
Yeah, you did.
But we didn't realize how hard it is because it is so bureaucratic and so. I mean, those old distributors, they've got it nailed down, right? So they did not like us at all. We were going around as partners and signing up every craft beer brand we could find, which is everybody essentially that's in the state right now because there was none here.
Yeah.
And so it was what a fun ride that was. But then we looked up one day and it's real business and we got 50 employees and we're serving the whole state and got some big brands and doing it right. But what was interesting was the bigger we grew, the less money we made, because then you're having to go to the Walmarts and, you know, pick your random town in Arkansas where we don't need to have, and the beer just sits on the shelves, but we have to service it because these big brands require us to service it. So luckily we could kind of slowly see our net income eroding enough that we're like, okay, it's time to do this. And it was still at the peak of the craft beer boom where we were able to get a really good number for it.
Yeah,
so what a great experience.
The key message, I think, to all entrepreneurs is timing is really important.
Oh my gosh.
Knowing when to get in, knowing when to get out. And at that time, the craft beer, craft cider, bourbon, all that stuff was still on the rise. Yep. Tastes change. It's like in any other fashion, fickle, consumer-driven business. As tastes change,
absolutely,
people stop drinking beer, they start drinking something else, or they decide, well, it really is kind of poison that you're consuming.
Yeah, totally. So now, like my buddies that are still in the business, all the non-alcoholic stuff's really big.
Exactly. Right.
They're trying to get, all the energy drink stuff. All that is what's really carrying them now. The craft segment's gone way down because it's become, which I don't think is a bad thing. It's become more localized where you want to go to your neighborhood place and get a beer there, which same with me. Right. So yeah, timing was certainly everything on that.
Yeah, it was good to watch.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
We were happy for you.
Yeah.
And we were really unhappy because you guys did a great job distributing.
Yeah. We took it really seriously. We did a good job. And we did feel, bad for the brands that we signed up but we also knew I don't think we would have been around. I think we would have had to just slowly fold it up over time if that would have happened instead of having a pretty good exit.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
But it sounds like your timing on a lot of things has been pretty impeccable with that. And then as well as knowing when to lean in with some of the other projects and things and giving the market trends or the perception around where trends are going. So what's next? What if you were to put on your forecasting hat, for Northwest Arkansas, what areas would you look towards leaning in on?
Well, I'm highly biased about Northwest Arkansas. And so because of that, I'm unusually bullish, but I just see when we talk about a 4% vacancy rate in office, retail's at 3%, right? You've got lack of supply, which is probably our biggest issue right now. But it also is our biggest opportunity, right? So, but what happened, I mentioned this earlier about construction prices going up so quickly, it's been really hard to build anything new and make it pencil. Right? Because when you think about it, if construction prices go up 50 to 100% and rents go up 2 to 3% a year, those numbers don't jive for 10 plus years. Right now, rents as renewals happen, this gets a little wonky, but as renewals happen, we can dial rents up more to get to where market is, because rents have gone up accordingly with almost construction prices if we can get them. So it's just been really hard to build, but that's what creates an opportunity for in the future is when we're starting to see construction prices moderate, right? Rents continue to go up, and there will be an opportunity here in the future to build more. So what we've seen is the opportunity recently, and I mentioned this on a couple projects, is redeveloping existing product where you can buy it for half of reproduction costs, redo it, make sure, remarket it, put some lipstick on it, right? And then make it attractive to the modern tenant. So what do I think about Northwest Arkansas? Look, sure, there'll be ups and downs along the way, but we have just got so much momentum here with almost 40 people a day moving in. Just glad to be here. And then obviously on the housing and multifamily side, multifamily got a little overbuilt, which is apartments, as I call it, during the free money phase of lending. Now that's moderated in development, which is good, but there's going to be a big need for apartments moving forward. Unfortunately, because housing's gotten so expensive here. Housing's gone up 70%. House prices have gone up 7% since 2020, maybe 2019, but certainly during the pandemic. So when that happens, it's unaffordable for a lot of younger folks, which means they've got to find an apartment to live in.
So crystal ball it for us. Tariffs and interest rates.
Oh my gosh.
No pressure.
Interest rates are going to start going down, which is good, which would be great because it'll help deals start to pencil that I alluded to earlier that don't. Tariffs is I can't get a good handle. I mean, it's certainly going to affect things, but we haven't seen it affect pricing greatly on our side. So I'm hoping and praying that it doesn't as much. I think the interest rates will certainly be a bigger deal.
If interest rates go down and energy continues to trend down, it might be pretty good offsets.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. So yeah, I think getting back to the Northwest Arkansas, and I'm involved in a investment firm called Natural Capital as well, which we started. We can talk about that too as an entrepreneurial journey, but we're really focused on what we can find, especially if it's existing product in Northwest Arkansas, somewhat asset agnostic. If it's well-positioned property in the right area, and hopefully we can get, we have, quite a few Arkansans in our LP base. And so what that'll do is we want these Arkansans to benefit in what's happening here now. Because right now we see increasingly more and more, which is great for the area, folks from the coast and especially from Dallas, Kansas City regionally coming here and trying to figure out how to benefit in the growth of Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah. Well, you teed us up. So let's talk about that effort.
Yeah, sure. On the Natural Capital front. So it was started as an idea by Brock Gearhart, who's right down the street from here, and myself, really for two really easy reasons. We're both in the service industry. I was getting frustrated because it felt like we had a lot of money coming in the door, but not going out because we didn't have a way to organize capital. And he was looking for an alternative way for his folks to, his clients to invest in. We thought it'd be more friends and family. It turned out to be, we were just hitting the nerve at the right time of really being able to people wanted to see how they could benefit from in Northwest Arkansas. So the first fund started, relatively small. We thought it was going to be relatively small. It grew significantly from what we thought it was going to be, and then we tripled the money raised in our second fund to about $110 million. And that's plus or minus 100 Arkansas families that are in that fund. And so it's been great. It's been great to see that we were right on an idea. It's been great to see how we can find them really good deals, specifically in Northwest Arkansas, both on the mostly on the real estate side, but also on the company side as well. And we're not venture guys. We're giving growth capital to people that have a really a very solid, stable business, might need to go make an acquisition. We really like the leadership team. We trust them. We can take a minority position. So
it's kind of real estate and private equity sort of focus.
It is. And that's also unusual.
Yeah.
Right. To have both of those. And so, when we were forming it, people were like, why don't you make it just one or the other? But we saw opportunities in both. And with our other partners, like Todd Simmons, obviously runs a big company in Simmons Foods, great operator. We need to leverage those skill sets. And Brad Henry, who runs it, those are the four main, that were the four starters of the business. We had a variety of different skill sets. So let's leverage those. So it's turned out to be great. And we're seeing, we thought we wouldn't be able to see the deal flow in Northwest Arkansas on the real estate side. And it's been quite the opposite. We have more than we know what to do with. So that's great.
And you target, in terms of your LPs, you targeted high net worth individuals and family office type of.
That's right.
So you didn't go after any of the institutional.
On purpose. That's right.
I don't blame you.
It's just, we like to have one phone call and be able to work through whatever with them.
Well, and if you chase some of those public institutions, you're talking to a money manager on the East Coast. It's like, who are you and how do you get my number type of thing.
That's it. That doesn't feel very Arkansas to us.
Exactly. Smart play.
Yep.
And I know you, kind of a tangent there, but I know you serve on a number of boards and are involved in the community. Speak a little bit about that and kind of like balancing that component of, community leadership with, the business success.
That's a great question.
Kind of getting in the trenches.
And as I get older, it's more of a balance, right?
Mm-hmm.
I live here in Fayetteville. I love the community. So whatever I can do to help here and in the broader Northwest Arkansas area, great. So I've been really involved with the Northwest Arkansas Council. I've been on that executive board for probably close to 10 years. I'm the vice chair of that. And that's been great because that's just, as Jeff well knows, like that's where a lot of the sausage is made, right? And so you get to really impact the community. And then like being involved with Washington Regional here in Fayetteville and Theater Squared, things that these are institutions that welcome local leadership, right? So those things are things that are really near and dear to me. It is, especially I have two kids, right? My kids are 13 and 11 and I want to be there and present as a dad, and how to balance all that out is something I wish I could say I have all that figured out. It is not an easy balance, but luckily at Sage, we've got a lot of great folks, what I would call the next generation that I can really lean on to help. I turned 45 this year. So I want to be able to spend more time with my family, spend more time on, community things, which also obviously help the business, but it's not why I do them. Well, letting the people that are going to be the next generation at Sage, it's going to be their business in however many years, not mine.
Can you share a project where your commercial and your community goals kind of aligned?
Oh, that's a great question. No, it's not a project specifically, but I will say that we just were awarded being the real estate provider for the University of Arkansas.
Congratulations.
So that's cool.
Awesome.
That's great. So that's something that I'm doing out of course, at some point Sage is going to make money on it. Like we're in the service business. We need to. But I want to do that just to help the University of Arkansas help with their real estate planning for the next 20 years.
You're going to be our landlord here?
I'm not going to be your landlord, but we're going to be involved. Yeah.
We have some thoughts.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. We can take those.
There's a water feature.
Fix the ceiling.
With leadership at the U of A, we've thought a lot about this building, about how to reposition.
Yeah.
Right.
That'd be awesome. I mean, we love being here, but it could stand a refresh.
There's
good bones.
Yeah. Great bones. And what a great location.
Yeah.
But this building is a great example of, okay, how do we, university's grown so fast.
Yep.
Gone from, 35,000 students now. They're out of parking. They're out of classroom space, right? What do you need to have on campus? What can be off campus? How can you leverage buildings like this?
Exactly.
All that, is that work? Is that community involvement? I don't know. It's probably both. And that's so those are the types of things that really I'm getting drawn to in this phase of my career.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And I think places like this too also give you like a really cool canvas to play with to create like a hub of energy and activity with those tenants. I think about like us being here, but you also have ASBTC downstairs, and then you've got the Startup Village.
Totally.
Startup Village. So it's like kind of organically become kind of a one-stop shop for folks that want those touch points. And so it kind of gives you that kind of.
Well, so how do you leverage that and make it even better and energize it?
Exactly.
We spend a lot of time about how do we energize, and we don't have to get too much attention on this building, but how do you energize the first floor here? Right. Make it feel and look right. So ideas.
A big community event, I think, would be good. Like a startup party.
Like a startup
or something like that. Like a beer.
That might be coming up on the 26th.
There you go. There's a good plug.
It's a great idea.
That's great.
Just like a stage that we can pull out
That's right.
inside, different things like that.
Well, the way we kind of like to wrap up these episodes, if you had a time machine, hop in, go back in time, tell younger Marshall a piece of advice. It could be Marshall from yesterday, 10, 15 years ago. What would that advice be?
Not to get so wrapped up in growing just to grow. I think when you're in your 20s and 30s, growing you feel like you need, or at least I felt like I needed to do that. And instead be more intentional about why you're growing and what are you doing, for what reasons are you doing it? So like I just, now we want to grow more intentionally. And by that, I mean, we're just going to be the best at what we do, and growth's going to come that way versus growing and then being the best. Mm-hmm. So I had it flipped around early in my career, early to midway through my career. And that's just not what I'm all about now.
Mm-hmm. That's great insight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks.
Well, if any of our listeners, watchers, they want to learn more about you or more about Sage Partners, where should they go?
SagePartners.com.
Yeah, it's easy.
Pretty easy.
Yeah. And we'll link it there at the bottom.
Cool.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming in today.
Yeah,
great talking to you. It's great catching up.
You bet. You too. Thanks.
Yeah. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share with a friend. Subscribe and review because it matters to us and we want to hear from you. If you're interested in learning how to work with us, check out the information below. See you next week.